I think I have it memorized. You even have Mark Stein saying it. Good job,
yes,
sir.
we do.
Great show tonight. All right, we have an incredible show tonight. That's all I can say. Buckle up. This has been a truly historic day in America and around the world, literally starting with shocking revelations out of Israel. The Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, just gave an unmitigated warning to the international community as it relates to Iran. The mullahs of Iran are secretly advancing their illicit nuclear weapons program, and Israel, the United States, and all of our allies now face extreme danger. And the Washington Free Beacon reporting tonight that even our own intel community has now confirmed this. Coming up, we're going to show you all the evidence. We will explain why Obama's Iranian appeasement plan did nothing to slow the threat of nuclear proliferation in the world. And also tonight, more significant progress on the peninsula. The summit between North and South Korea and the United States is moving forward as planned. And now Kim Jong-un is allegedly prepared to end his nuclear weapons program if the United States promises not to invade. And the South Korean president is even suggesting that President Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize for his important work in the region. That's going to make liberals' heads explode. Plus, another day, another damning revelation surrounding the deep state. Former director of national intelligence turned anti-Trump fake news CNN pundit James Clapper caught lying directly to Congress yet again. Is Congress ever going to will he face the General Flynn standard, or does he get the Hillary, oh, we don't have equal justice under the law standard? Also, John Brennan's comments, is this a deep state threat against the President of the United States? And later, we'll address Michelle Wolf's petty, cheap, lame performance at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And finally tonight, the caravan of Central American migrants is at our southern border, scaling the fence. Where is the Mexican government? All of that, plus Candace Owens is fresh off her meeting with Kanye West. She will give us the details later in the program. Buckle up. We have a busy opening news monologue. Appeasement never works, and tonight we have yet another damning reminder. The Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, is now sounding the alarm, and as per usual, the Prime Minister has pure moral clarity. I've been saying this for years. Now, the Prime Minister is revealing, according to thousands of pages of official documents obtained by intelligence sources, Iran's nuclear weapons program is alive and well. The Iranians call it Project Ahmad. It is secret. It is illicit. It is an ongoing scheme to construct nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them, including a very specific plan to develop 5 warheads, each containing a 10-kiloton yield. Now, here's what the Prime Minister, Netanyahu, said about this program in an incredible press conference, incredible bit of intelligence earlier today.
This was Iran's chance to fully come clean to the IAEA. They could tell the truth. They could say, we had this program, the secret program. It's over. We shelved it. It doesn't exist. We destroyed the material. Here's what Iran actually told the IAEA. It said, Iran denied the existence of a coordinated program aimed at the development of a nuclear explosive device and specifically denied, get this, specifically denied the existence of the Ahmad plan. The material proves otherwise, that Iran authorized, initiated, and funded Project Ahmad, a coordinated program aimed at the development of a nuclear explosive device. Here's another document from the archive. This is a master plan of Project Ahmad.
I'm told the Prime Minister did all of that entire presentation, PowerPoint, without any notes. Now, remember, this comes just 3 years after President Obama signed off on what is the worst deal in the history of the United States, frankly, the world. That was the multilateral agreement where the United States agreed to unlock $150 billion of frozen Iranian assets and send another $1.7 billion in cash, including an initial $400 million down payment, literally shipped in cargo planes and cash in other currencies. Now, some critical U.S. sanctions against Iran were lifted at the time. What did we get in return? A promise from radical Islamic mullahs of Iran that they temporarily halt their nuclear weapons program? The same mullahs that actively plan for the destruction of Israel, the same mullahs that chant death to America, death to Israel, that fund terrorism all over the world, that are fighting proxy war after proxy wars in Iraq and Syria and elsewhere, the same mullahs that are responsible for killing U.S. soldiers in Iraq, holding other Americans hostage. Remember, Obama told us, well, this was good for the world, but we warned you. This agreement was always a sham. No different than when Neville Chamberlain declared peace in his time and signed off on a deal trying to appease Adolf Hitler. No different than when Bill Clinton appeased Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il, and the agreement Clinton promised, this is a good deal for the American people. It will halt North Korea's nuclear weapons program and ambition once and for all. And in 2015, Obama wanted you to believe once again, if only we kiss the rings of despots and radicals and dictators, somehow they're going to be nice to us. Faulty, failed logic. Appeasement never works. President Trump now faces a very important decision, whether or not to hold Iran accountable and pull the U.S. out of this deeply flawed agreement. Here's how President Trump reacted to these incredible breaking developments today.
In 7 years, that deal will have expired, and Iran is free to go ahead and create nuclear weapons. That's not acceptable. 7 years is tomorrow. That's not acceptable. It's a horrible agreement for the United States, including the fact, Mr. President, that we gave Iran $150 billion and $1.8 billion in cash. Nigeria would like some of that. $1.8 billion in cash and $150 billion. You know what we got? We got nothing. We got nothing. So that doesn't mean I wouldn't negotiate a new agreement. We'll see what happens. But I think, if anything, what's happening today and what's happened over the last little while and what we've learned has really shown that I've been 100% right.
There are moments in history you have to learn from, and the devastating failures of appeasement, Neville Chamberlain, Bill Clinton in his day, President Obama in his way. It all has taught us appeasement never works. Peace through strength does work. Now, this brings us to our next topic, President Trump's historic diplomatic progress on the Korean Peninsula. Now, instead of trying to appease Kim Jong-un or bribe him with both loads of cash, President Trump took some very tough measures. Now, in the early months of the administration, remember, the president increased sanctions on the North Korean regime. He sent multiple carrier strike groups to the region. He squeezed North Korea's most important strategic partner, China, all the while calling Kim Jong-un Little Rocket Man and saying, our button works. The media freaked out, proclaimed Trump is going to lead us to a nuclear war. He said the same thing when Reagan called the former Soviet Union an evil empire. We knew better. And now the president's strategy is now seeing significant progress that is great for the world. Because for the first time ever, this is historic. Look at this. Kim Jong-un crossing into South Korea for this historic positive meeting with South Korean President Moon. And a meeting between President Trump, President Moon, and Kim Jong-un is moving forward as planned. Not done yet. Certainly good progress. And also breaking today, according to South Korean sources, the North Korean dictator is willing to give up his nuclear weapons program completely as long as the United States agrees to officially end the Korean War and promise not to launch an attack. Now, over the weekend, during a rally in Michigan, well, the crowd reacted. Well, this is when the president was going to be at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and I proudly, in 30 years of radio, 23 years on TV, have never been to a single one. I'm proud of that. This is how the crowd reacted to the developments on the Korean Peninsula. Take a look.
I remember, it was very rough 3-4 months ago. That's very nice, thank you. That's very nice. No bell. I just want to get the job done.
I just want to get the job done. Everyone in the fake news media, their heads just exploded. Now get this, the South Korean president agrees. Moon is now echoing these calls for President Trump to, in fact, yes, receive the Nobel Peace Prize. Let's hope he can pull this off. Now, these historic and rapidly evolving developments from the Korean Peninsula should give everyone around the world a sense of cautious optimism. And some are even calling President Trump a transformational president. 3 words, peace through strength. We'll bring you more on this later in the show. But first, the deep state is crumbling right before our eyes. Nearly 5 years ago, then National Intelligence Director James Clapper, remember he blatantly perjured himself in front of Congress? You may remember this moment.
Does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
It does not.
Not wittingly. There are cases where they could inadvertently, perhaps, collect, but not wittingly.
And of course, a short time later, what do we learn? The NSA was collecting data. Clapper knew it, and he lied. He was never charged like General Flynn with lying, this case perjury. And now Clapper has been caught in yet another bold-faced lie. And according to a report from the House Intel Committee, during a closed-door hearing, Clapper flatly denied ever discussing that phony Clinton bought and paid for steal Russian dossier with a member of the media. He also repeated this claim in March during an interview with Don Lemon over at CNN. Take a look.
I didn't have any contact with media until after I left the government on the 20th of January. So I don't quite understand, at least what I've read, that somehow I leaked about the dossier.
So let me get, so you didn't leak anything about the dossier to any media?
No, I mean, I talked about it after I left the government, but not during that period, and certainly not between the 6th of January and the 10th when the president-elect himself talked about it.
This is an incredible development. Now the Intel Committee's report found that Clapper, quote, admitted to the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence in private testimony that he briefed CNN's Jake Tapper in early of January 2017. Now, this was shortly before Trump's inauguration. Tapper, along with two other journalists, so-called journalists from CNN, published a report detailing how Trump was briefed about the Steele dossier. And then a short time later, James Clapper, he was hired by fake news CNN as an analyst. You connect the dots. Now, President Trump reacted on Twitter, writing, quote, Clapper lied about fraudulent dossier leaks to CNN. He's a lying machine who now works for fake news CNN. Now, if Clapper does not face legal jeopardy over his blatant perjury to Congress, it will be yet one more example of what I say is our two-tiered system of justice. He'll go with the Hillary Clinton system of justice. Now, let's turn to the mainstream media. If you thought they couldn't get any more anti-Trump or downright vulgar, think again. They outdid themselves over the weekend. The White House Correspondents Association held their annual dinner. I am so proud I've never been, where they take some time to honor the media, pat themselves on the back, just like their Hollywood buddies, for their courageous work of echoing each other. Now, President Trump, who did not attend, previewed the dinner at his rally in Michigan. He decided to stay with the people, just like he did last year. Good choice.
By the way, is this better than that phony Washington White House Correspondents' Dinner? Is this more fun? I could be up there tonight smiling like I love where they're hitting you shot after shot. These people, they hate your guts, shot. And then I'm supposed to... And you know, you got to smile. And if you don't smile, they'll say, he was terrible, he couldn't take it. And if you do smile, they'll say, what was he smiling about? You know, there's no way.
Now, President Trump's description, all too accurate. This year's show features so-called comedian, former Daily Show contributor, I've never heard of her before, this weekend, Michelle Wolf, delivering a performance that's so cringeworthy, vile, and so one-sided. Well, you might want to cover your ears if you have kids in the living room tonight. Take a look.
Mike Pence is also very anti-choice. He thinks abortion is murder, which, first of all, don't knock it till you try it. And when you do try it, really knock it. You know, you got to get that baby out of there. You guys got to stop putting Kellyanne on your shows. All she does is lie. If you don't give her a platform, she has nowhere to lie. It's like that old saying, if a tree falls in the woods, how do we get Kellyanne under that tree? I'm not suggesting she gets hurt, just stuck. Ivanka cleans up nice. She's the diaper genie of the administration. On the outside, she looks sleek, but the inside, it's still full of shit.
Not even funny if you think that's bad, by the way. Wolf saved her worst remarks for Sarah Sanders, who was sitting just feet away, just a few feet away. Take a look.
And of course, we have Sarah Huckabee Sanders. We are graced with Sarah's presence tonight. I have to say, I'm a little starstruck. I love you as Aunt Lydia on The Handmaid's Tale. I actually really like Sarah. I think she's very resourceful. Like, she burns facts, and then she uses that ash to create a perfect smoky eye. Like, maybe she's born with it, maybe it's lies. And I'm never really sure what to call Sarah Huckabee Sanders. You know, is it Sarah Sanders? Is it Sarah Huckabee Sanders? Is it Cousin Huckabee? Is it Auntie Huckabee Sanders? Like, what's Uncle Tom but for white women who disappoint other white women?
By the way, Sarah, Kellyanne, they all took it with incredible grace, especially Sarah Sanders right there. This performance, or so-called performance, was so bad, so mean-spirited, that even the association's president expressed regret over Wolf's remarks, and some in the mainstream media, even they called out this so-called comedian. Take a look.
I think that the comedian crossed the line, and this went from poking fun to being mean-spirited. It was very uncomfortable. I think that Sarah Sanders handled herself very well.
A lot of the dinner should be about, you know, journalism and not the red carpet, not the mean-spirited jokes that we saw last night. Some of those I really thought were inappropriate.
This dinner has had a lot of bad moments. Was thinking back last evening as I was watching this cringeworthy performance in some respects going after the appearance of Sarah Sanders, which I thought was inappropriate.
I really thought the pain of the people on stage when Sarah Huckabee Sanders was being made fun of, everybody felt pain for her. She felt pain, and it really bothered me. And I know there's big controversy about whether or not her appearance was being made fun of or not. Come on, stop it.
Fox News alert, Hannity agrees with Mika. All right. Anyway, just as the president tweeted, this event is now dead. Now, the president was incredibly smart not to dignify this dinner with his presence. Sarah Sanders, other Trump officials attended in order to show their appreciation for the press and the vital function that they serve in this country, and they were promptly mocked and degraded. The press deserves no such consideration going forward. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Journalism in this country is absolutely dead. They're not journalists. They're opinion advocacy hosts. They don't admit it. Our last story tonight comes from our southern border. For weeks, we have been tracking this large caravan of migrants from Central America as they march through Mexico, headed to the U.S. border. Mexico does nothing, and now dozens of migrants have arrived at the border, and they're demanding entry into the U.S., with some attempting to scale a border fence in California. President Trump weighed in also earlier today. Take a look.
We are a nation of laws. We have to have borders. We don't have borders, we don't have a country. And I've been watching for weeks as the caravan came up. And you know, the Mexican laws are very tough on immigration, extremely tough. And it started out with way over 1,000 people. I guess now it's down to about 100. You got to have a wall. And we need border security. And we will have border security. As you know, we're sending many, many National Guardsmen down to the border. Most of them are already there. And that's having a big impact. But we need a change in the law.
Where's the Mexican government? They went all through Mexico. And by the way, they usually imprison people from Central America, El Salvador, Nicaragua, or they just return them and deport them immediately. Now, for decades, they've turned an all too obvious blind eye as millions of their citizens, as well as citizens from other countries, show no respect to our laws, our sovereignty, our borders, our citizens. This is an issue of national security, an issue of U.S. sovereignty. Mexico needs to be held accountable. And most importantly, it's time for the wall to be built on our southern border.